Yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nothing like a three-part welcome. All right. I am your host, Sir Chad Ever Broshears. If you know, you know, or Chad Ever Broshears to others. And this is the Maturity Project. Conversation today is about love. And it's a fantastic, you know what, this is one that I've had a conversation around this for a long time because it's such a motivator for people. They spend a lot of time trying to figure out, the ins and outs of truly being loved, validated, and supported. And I've come to realize that there's two different versions, of what this can be with people. So the first one is the most common, which is people loving each other for who they want the other person to be. So it's loving the idea of the person. And then there's the other side, which is apparently it doesn't want to connect, and I don't know what's going on here, but let me see what I can do. Don't know how much of this actually is going on here, what's being recorded. So loving somebody for the idea of them, and loving somebody for who they are. And it's a very stark difference between the two, but it doesn't look like it. So it's very, very, very common to love the idea of the person. Now there's multiple reasons for that, but the distinction about loving the idea of the person is there's who you want them to be and who you believe them to be, but not who they actually are. And the other side is loving them for who they are, is you understand who they are and the differences between the two of you in such a way that you know that you're not always going to agree. You very well may likely not always agree. Speaking in absolutes is actually kind of foolish, and especially dealing with human beings like this. But yeah, so the idea of a person is, it can be based off of how the person creates their persona, how they create who they want the other person to believe they are. Like a job interview, a lot of times early stages of dating is that people project who they want other people to believe they are. They'll have, well, I got my stuff together, I got my own house, I pay my own bills. And the resume version of this would be, oh yeah, I'm proficient with Microsoft Word, or my typing skills are 200 words a minute, and really they've looked at the subscription of a training program online to become a better type, to type better, right? It's interesting because, it's with absolute earnest intent that you'll get better, but the actions haven't followed through, so the likelihood is that procrastination will lead to no action, but the intent is still there. As I close these videos, I typically talk about the road to hell, or the path to hell is paved with good intentions. This is part of that conversation. So my thing is I want to take it out of that world of quoting and or mining context, using a quote to associate with a specific statement that you have, trying to mine the context out of it so that you can improve upon your point, or to try to bridge the distance between where the two people might be, or you and yourself and then somebody else might be, an understanding. I want to take that out as much as I can and create a more living purpose to each to those statements. So the path to road is paved with good intentions. What does that mean, and how can you make this more functional in your life to understand it? So when you start off in a relationship of any type and you lead somebody to believe based off of what you consciously know in a way that's not a lie to you, but because your intentions give you comfort of truth, versus I have not done this yet, but I intend to do it. The getting somebody to love the idea of you is the projection of who you want to become, or who you want them to believe you want to become. Now, it might get you to the point where you get whatever that early stage goal is, where that person says, you know what, I'm good with this. I like it, and here, you can have whatever that early stage goal is. Oftentimes it's sex, but it could be something else, or it could be multiple things. But very, very commonly in early stages of relationship, it is to have that experience sexually with somebody else. So you create the idea of yourself so the other person feels that you're actually more of a good fit for them. Now, but the consequences of that early victory, if you were to consider that achievement of intention as a victory, then there are consequences in the long run. And the long run is the person starts to care for somebody that you're not. And that's on your own willful side when you intentionally lead that person in that direction. Who the hell else are they supposed to fall in love with or care about? It's the person that you lead them to believe that you are. Now, sure, there's benefits to that because that person might be the cheerleader and supporter for you to help you get there. But if they don't know you're practicing, then how can they hold you in support? They're going to hold you with more likely a conviction that you don't live up to that. So the love conversation, man, this is like, look, I'm finding that more and more, my frustration grows and my frustration turns into a fuel source that I want to I put into a vehicle. I do not want to burn myself alive with frustration. By the way, that's my way of working with frustration. Frustration is like gasoline. It's a fuel source. You have it no matter what. It's occurring. It's occurring right now. You're generating frustration. You're generating gasoline. Then you have the option. Do you pour that on yourself and self emulate, burn alive, or do you put it into a vehicle and do something with it so it can take you someplace? Take that frustration, convert it into a vehicle, put it into a vehicle. Creatively understand that there is someplace else that you could be and you don't need to self-emulate. So you create your options. You pick it, whatever direction you want to go in. So that's where I go whenever it comes to frustration. I'm growing frustrated because of my desire to make a difference in this world and the way that I see people treating themselves. And I'm frustrated with myself that I'm not reaching more people. I don't feel that I am the savior of anyone, to make sure that that's very clear. I feel that, and I see it, that I have an insight that can shift perspectives to give people more opportunities to achieve the goals that they have. And if it's an early stage goal, like the earlier example, where if you're behaving a specific way to get somebody to want to sleep with you, then by all means, you get that early stage goal, but guess what? It won't last and it's going to damage you and the other person, and you're going to become a scumbag in somebody else's life, almost certainly. Unless you develop the bond that helps push or to pull the two of you into someplace they can be a support system for you by becoming a cheerleader and figuring out how they can help you, then maybe that would be an outcome. But I will tell you now, most relationships are not built in the way of supporting each other. Most relationships, especially by the way they're influenced on social media, are built in a way that tear people apart because they start going, why isn't our relationship like that one? And then you got the thirst trap of the internet, which is, I'm going through some hard times, whatever. And then all of a sudden people are popping up in their DMs and commenting left and right, going, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm so sorry you feel that way. Can I support you? Can I help you? It's like, it's people living in the wake of somebody else's life, waiting for an opportunity when that person is emotionally weakened, so that now they have an opportunity to have that thing that they want, which is, when you come into somebody's DM like that, you're very likely trying to convince them to love the idea of you. Started off with that idea of you. So what's on the other side? If you continue that, is a very dissatisfied life, because you won't bond with other people, but you'll feel convicted to be in relationships with other people. It'll be an institute of conviction, not an institute of love and support. So I've got different insights into the world, the way the world works, and it works for me, but my goals are very large because I want to be able to support people in ways of giving insights. I am not the expert of any of this stuff, except for the awareness. And certainly if you want to gauge an expert value because of where you currently are, because you don't have a lot of development there, and you go, wow, that guy knows his stuff, fantastic, pick it, choose me, but don't stop with me. Look past, keep going, become your own guru, if you will, become your own expert. So with the whole thing, as far as getting people to love who you truly are, is to never lie about who you are. Do not ever tell even the slightest lie. If they don't love you, if they don't accept you, they can't love you. If you're afraid to tell the truth, you are convincing the other person that they should care for the person that you're not. Tell the truth. Always be that person. Especially if you want to have a more fulfilling life. But if you want to have the standardized nonsense, actually it's bullshit, that our internet generation is being taught, which is everything is greater in somebody else's life. You can see influencers doing this shit where they get out there and they've got somebody pop out, they jump out of a car real quick and they go and create this idea of an emotional impact, like somebody's got windows boarded up because something happened, and then they're like, oh my God, the tragedy. They just jumped out of their car, ran over, and they had the other person come by behind them and start videotaping them or taking pictures or whatever. Then they fit in some sort of narrative, and then all of a sudden now what they're doing is they're embezzling your emotional state so that you can potentially support them. That's what that shit is. So when people put out these fake ideas about who they are, it is an attempt to embezzle you out of your emotions. And if you're doing it, it's exactly what you're doing to another person. So when people find out you're doing it, it is you're going to deal with the consequences of somebody who usually uses the language of you've lied to me, or I don't trust you, or whatever. But the reality is, it's also you have embezzled them. You have taken a resource of theirs under false pretense. You've stolen something from them because you're a coward. You wouldn't tell the truth. Now, here's the thing. You don't get labeled a coward for life, because courage is the antidote to cowardice. But you gotta practice courage. I have been a coward a lot in my life, but that's also because I look at things at such a depth, and I hold myself to radical responsibility that I will look so deep into my behaviors and connections with other people that I will find out wherever the slightest sense that I betray myself by not telling the other person the truth, whether that was represented by I got the context of what they were saying, not the verbiage, but the context of what they were saying, and understood that they were going someplace they did not perfectly articulate. And I knew better and did not complete that circle, that loop of communication. So you do not have to erase your past to get past this. You inject courage, and it will remove the cowardice. It is a practice. It is, to me, it is one of the hardest things to do when you're so fucking used to being a coward. It is so hard to be courageous. But when you are courageous and you continue to practice communication to the absolute best you possibly can, that will give you the opportunity to have somebody love you for who you are versus love you for the idea of who you are. Full disclosure, not the total disclosure, but I'm going to give you more disclosure of this whole thing. I have been the fantasy man in a lot of relationships because of the way that I perceive the world and the way that I cater to other people. There are challenges with being a fantasy person because others love that idea of who you are. But when you are not occupying that space, you have an intention and a desire to have an emotional space to go into. If you're feeling weakened because of whatever's going on in the world and you want to have a foundation to retreat to where you can feel cared for and supported, the relationships that are developed in being a fantasy person, you are left with the denial of support that you expect. Now, you might still get supported, but the likelihood is you're not going to get supported the way that you want. You're more likely to get supported in the way of, I don't know what to do here. You know, I use this person as an escape from my life. And now this person is creating the reality of my life and the consequences of why I wanted to escape in the first place. And now it's showing up. That's real life. And then there's the, wow, ooh, But when you're in that place of going, well, yeah, this person's always been that emotional support for me, or that joy, or that fun, or whatever it is, and they realize that you're not in that same state of being that they're familiar with, there's a great degree of disconnect that leaves you going, oh my God, I'm lonely. I'm alone. So, speaking from experience, I've been through a lot in my life. and I really do love to share. I love to connect, and I love to articulate the perspectives that I have. And I am fallible like anyone else. So if people are joining into this and thinking that I'm going to be the absolute top end guru about everything, you're wrong. Nobody is, by the way. I don't care how much they seem like they're put together. You go through the 8 different areas of maturity and you will find out that there is not a person on this planet that is completely put together in every area. You'll start finding out very few people are even put together in one area. But what you get is that Instagram setup, which is, oh my God, you see that? That building's busted up. Let's stop the car. Go over there real quick. Look sad. AOC it, right? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez it. Go make it look like it's something. Sensationalize it. It will give us something. I'm going to get an emotional deposit from those people to want to follow me because they're going to think that I care. Yeah, you cared enough to stop your car in traffic to go over there to get a picture of it, to get a video of it, so that you could look like you're empathetic towards the challenges of humanity. But really, the challenges of humanity equate to the dollar amount in your bank account. So it is a narcissistic direction, and we're in a downward spiral of that right now because the road or the path to hell is paved with good intentions. How you qualify a good intention is the thing. So when you're sitting there and you're communicating with somebody that you intend to have a relationship with of any type, it doesn't have to be the intimate husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. It doesn't have to be that. It could be friendships. It could be a lot of things. But when you're sitting there gauging a resource the other person has, by the way, resources are notated by, annotated. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself there. Resources are based off of, you've got money, you've got knowledge, you've got emotion, you've got the workability, you've got your influence amongst other people, your physical ability to help support somebody if you got to go move a couch, right? Or if somebody needs to have them to be defended, right? They feel like somebody's going to attack them. And, well, your resource is that you have the physical capacity to help them. Who get involved, you're a trained fighter or something, right? It could be that you have purpose in life and you're up to something, and somebody else says, I'm not up to anything, and that person inspires the hell out of me, and I want some of that inspiration. Give me some inspiration. But if you never have the intent to give back or to become something like that yourself, are you squandering that resource? Especially if that's why you're developing a relationship with that person in the first place, or the intention of the relationship. We can do better as a people. We can do better overall as a species. We are so incredibly capable. But what we do is we get caught up. I'm not loved enough, so therefore my attention right now needs to go to love. Then when you start relationships, you're looking to see how other people can love you. Now, what do you do with that? When you're in that frame of thinking, guess what you're not able to do? A lot of other things. You can't think about balancing your budget and doing finance when you're distracted about your love life. So loving the idea of somebody or loving who they are, nearly everybody who watches this is going to go, I love who I'm with. I love me. I don't love the idea of somebody. Grow up, wake up. It's time to realize, no, I'll guarantee you love the idea of the person. And if you don't, I will be incredibly impressed, because it takes a lot of work to get there. And we don't have a society that's willing to put up with it. The stress, the fights, the upsets, what it takes to truly love the person that you're with. Because every time you turn around, you've got stay away from toxicity, good vibes only. If you're not happy, something's wrong. Life takes work. And if you're trying to turn it into love diabetes because you're trying to turn it into the sweetest elements of it without any of the bitter, you're going to be very unfulfilled. You get a case of the sugar foot, you're going to lose it, right? Well, guess what? You're going to lose something about your emotional investments and opportunities in life because you got the sugar foot of love. They had to take it off because it died on your body. Same as diabetes. Get the sugar foot. Don't do it. But if you want to spend your entire life trying to eat nothing but sugar because that's the sweetest reward you could possibly get, so you only get into relationships for the good times, yeah, you're going to get the sugar foot of relationships. And then you're going to be like, I don't know why I can't be satisfied. I don't know why I always have to run around to my partner. I don't know why I always have to, whatever. You got to keep saying that shit where you play a victim, but really you put yourself there in the first place. And this is going to be something that a lot of people say, you know what, this guy's crazy, whatever, because I'm not speaking to the mainstream of thinking. I'm speaking against it because this is destroying relationships. It's destroying your relationship with you. And then you expect somebody else to fix you. So you go around like Miley Cyrus's wrecking ball. You're just waiting and looking for an opportunity for somebody to fix your issues. If I date this person, I'll be better in this way. I'll have what I want. And guess what? You probably aren't going to get. And you know what it's like to date somebody who's a dependent? How many people right now are bitching on social media going, I've got 3 children and my boyfriend's a child too. What did you do to get yourself in that fucking situation? Grow up. It's time to do better, man. Otherwise, all I hear is complaints that are self-perpetuating complaints. I look at social media for these reasons. I'm speaking about such a core value for people. Who the hell doesn't want love? Well, guess what? Ask who you're with to define it in a way that would be written out in the dictionary without looking. What is love to you? How about before you even ask your partner, how about you write out your definition of love? You have to use descriptors. You have to use what's necessary that the dictionary gives you. When you read a definition of something, you'll notice that it has such a descriptor that you can communicate it in a way that people can get it. You got to do the same thing for love. What is love by definition? Don't interfere when they start to tell you. And don't look it up yourself. Write it down before you touch anything else. Grab a pen and paper, not Google. See what you think love is. And then ask your partner. And if you're single and you're looking to date, that's a damn good question to ask somebody else. It's time that we grow up, okay? That's the maturity project. If you're going to sit around and complain, guess what? That's an energy that you are giving away. Because guess what else it is? Complaining is frustration. And if you don't know where to put that, you are burning yourself alive. And if you're sitting there complaining to somebody else about what's going on in your life, you're just teaching them how to pour that gasoline onto yourself so they can help you light you up on fire. Sure, they may have some ideas and advice, but if you're taking advice from people that haven't successfully accomplished it themselves, how good is that advice? And if you're giving advice because it sounds good and it feels good and hypothetically it seems to work, if you're giving somebody else advice, you're playing chess in their life. You're probably actually playing checkers, because if you're not doing the work to get better and develop yourself, you're playing checkers. You're simplistic. Now, if you want to play chess, put in some work. But even then, if you're playing that in somebody else's life, you're being irresponsible if you won't do it in your own. Don't give advice if you're not willing to do what you tell people. Shut up. That's a good way to do it. Sit back with the frustration of knowing that you want to say something, but being responsible enough to know that you're about to fuck somebody else's life up because you won't do it. You're too much of a coward to do it. You do too much to figure out that, but you know what, if I do this, then I'm going to lose these other things, so I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, I'm a little impassioned by this because you know what? Love has such a deep value of validating human beings that will cause them to either be complete pieces of shit to other people or to be the most loving resource in the world. You can choose this. You need to choose your heaven or hell. And the decisions you make will take you there. But if you're choosing to create hell because you're so blind to what's really happening in the world and to yourself, because you're caught up in some sort of fairy tale that is the idea of who you should be and the idea of who you should be dating, well, guess what? You're paving the path to hell with good intentions. Good intentions. I want to do better. I want to be better. Okay. Did you sign up for something? Did you do something? That's what I'm doing. I'm creating courses that'll help people get to that point. I'm tired of sitting around and just talking. So actions, actions, actions. So that's it. Moving forward, the maturity project, there's 8 different areas. I will guide as much as I can for every single area. I will find people in this world that are better than me in each one of the areas that I can find, and I'm going to have them, recruit them to help build this thing to the point that we can all create such a maturity that we can be functional in all aspects of life and have more of a fulfilled life, have better quality relationships, be better to ourselves and better to other people, be more balanced out, not be in so much fucking debt, and not just financial debt, but by the way, whenever you, here's a little nice nugget for you. When you convince somebody else to love you for who you're not, but you want them to believe you are that person, you're creating a debt for yourself. That person will expect you to be that person that you're teaching them that you are, which when you can't facilitate it, guess what that is? That's a debt. It's an emotional debt. That's a dependency debt. That's a foundational debt that you have created in the other person. And you're the one that has to pay it. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, that's it. That's it for today. This is the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Everett Broshears, or as I mentioned, the fantasy man, the fantasy world. So I haven't said this until now, but that's what it is. If you know, you know. It's Sir Chad Everett Broshears. And again, the Maturity Project. If you want to start a conversation and break the ice, share this video with them. So let's get to it. We got a lot to do in this life, man. You could either sit back and be in the stands and tell everybody else how they're supposed to live their life, or you can be a player on the field. Get out there, get involved, make life happen around you. Be a cause for life. Be a player in life. And I mean the player of the game, not emotions. Don't fucking do that. That's what love the idea of who you are. It's fucking nonsense. All right, until next time, catch it. Subscribe to the channel. Comment in the comment section. And don't forget, we got a lot to do, man. So, let's get to it. We got a world to work on, but we really need to work on ourselves first, because you are the one that will change the world. All right, until next time, let's do it. See ya.